Hey Jacob, Matt here with Grid Be Gone. I got your email and I thought it'd be easier just to create a real quick tutorial to walk you through this. So real quick on the messages page, if I go back to recording, you mentioned something about the podcast link. When I click on that, it actually does open up the podcast to show the XML file. So if it's not showing on your end, it might just be a cache issue that needs to be cleared. Along with the back end, I'm in the control panel here, and I'm going to go up to, you asked about changing the primary speaker list. And so I'm going to go over here to teachers. And if I go to the front end here, and let's suppose that I go to a speaker, and let's suppose that Luke and Lindsay, you don't want them as, showing up as a primary speaker. So I need to go and find their names. So the first thing is I'm going to change this to all. And you can do a search here, for their names as well. So if I come over here and I, type in Luke, and I refresh here, boom, there they are. So the first thing you're going to want to do is come inside here. And we don't want to unpublish them because maybe you do want them to have, rights. That you want their message to show up somewhere, but you don't want them in the primary list. Just choose No to view on teacher page, and then choose Save and Close. And now when we come back here, I'm going to go ahead and refresh. I'll go back to speaker. They're no longer there. And so when this carried over from the old site, it picked up everyone as a teacher. And of course, if you don't want, certain teachers' messages showing, you can just go through and turn them off manually here, but that will actually turn off their entire message. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions at all, let me know. It also looks like you sent me another email. You're having trouble uploading pictures to the series. Every time you change it, preach it, reverts it back. And so here I have, I'm looking at your series here. And so let's suppose that I want to change like a topical message one. So I'll go to the back end here, and I'm inside of the topical message series, and I'm in the image tab here. So I'm going to go to the image file name, and I'll wait for this to kind of load up. And I'm just going to pick an image. I mean, obviously you can upload whatever you want. I'm just going to, pick one real quick here. Let's say DJ Light Square. And I'll insert that, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Now, after it saves, it should put it in there. And now I'm going to go back to the front end, and I need to physically refresh the page. Control Function 5 if you're on a PC. I'll go back to series, and there it is, topical messages. Now to turn that off, I'll just come in the back here, and I'm actually just going to do a save and close. And now when I do a full refresh, and then I go back to series, it takes on the original one. So hopefully that's working for you. If you try that and it's still not working, again, try clearing your cache. But again, if you continue to have issues, let me know on that. Another question that you had was making the text a little bit darker. So in the back end, this is not in Preach It. This has its own little template for it. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to come down to Grid Box, and I'm going to come over here to Pages, and you'll see here's one called Message Template. And so I'm going to go ahead and select that. And it's going to come up and look really plain. And the only reason why we have this is because this specific page is tied to this template. So anything that you change in here is going to reflect only on this page. So when it comes to making the text darker, for instance, if I come in here and let's suppose that I want, the gifts of the Spirit to be a darker color, well, I can select that, and I see that that is an H3 tag. And so with that, I can come in here and I'll come over to the theme, and this is where I can change my H3. And this is, right now it's set pretty dark, but maybe, you want to change it to be a little more bold. So I'll change that to be a little bit more bold. I'll go ahead and save that. And once it's saved, I'll come back, and now if I refresh, we should see that go a little bit bold. There it is. So yeah, went a little bit bold there. Now, if you want to change other colors, you can do that in Preach It as well. There is in the Preach It backend, because you guys are on the Genesis template for the Preach It, you can come inside of here, and you can come to Template Styles, and this tells you all the styles. We've labeled them here, and so subscribe to podcast link, you can create, you can change that, current message buttons, things like that. So all of these correspond to like this right here, these buttons right here. If I come over to featured series, I can change that. Message details, so the message info, which would respond to like this kind of stuff, you can darken that here. You can click on those and make those darker if you want. Message buttons, which will reflect to these right here. So again, you can go through and you can change all of the information. Pagination, that's going to be these buttons down here. And so you can go in and media page, page configuration, stuff like that. But once you make the update, just click on save. Anything dealing with sizes though, like if you want this text to be bigger or smaller, that's when you would actually go into the template area. So if I go back to grid box, message template, that's where you would come in here and change, the size. And so you can do that by coming up to the theme, once again, choosing, the H1 through H3, H6, depending on which one you want, and that's what you can update there. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it might be, a little bit back and forth there, but if you have any questions, if you want to do a screen share, don't hesitate. We can set up a time and we can walk through any other questions you have for that. So hope everything else is going well, and I'll talk to you soon.